project was almost feeling too easy when I was just cutting out the pieces and putting them together, but oh my goodness, this fabric is a pain in the butt.
Lizzie McGuire, you are an outfit repeater.
So do y'all remember earlier this year, I believe it was for the Oscars, when Julia Fox wore that amazing, ridiculous black leather dress with the hand gripping around her neck? Well, I'm gonna make it. I've got 3 yards of faux leather here. While we were all circulating memes about how ridiculous her interview was, I also was just completely enamored with that dress. Serious spooky vibes happening, and I'm here for it. So let's first draft out a plan of attack. The original dress was made by Hans Kjobenhaven, sorry about the pronunciation, in collaboration with Naomi Gillen, and was made of real leather. Mine obviously will be faux leather, cause ya girl don't have that kind of money. Based on the pictures, it looks like the dress is made of multiple panels in 3 different tiers, and the panels line up to create continuous lines down the body. So now that I have an outline of the basic shapes that I'm going to need, I first want to make a mock-up before I cut into the very expensive faux leather that I bought. So I'm going to use garbage bags. And actually this was my original plan, to recreate the dress using garbage bags, but then I thought that I kind of wanted to make something that would last a little bit longer and actually be wearable, but garbage bags will still have their moment. For the bodice, I used McCall's pattern MP405, and for the skirt, I used McCall's 4258. And for those wondering, I do not recommend putting garbage bag pieces through your sewing machine. Absolutely dreadful. 2 out of 10 would not recommend. So I ended up not doing a full, complete mock-up with the trash bags. That was quite frankly the most difficult material I've ever tried to put through my sewing machine, and that could have potentially gone really badly. But I think this still gave me good information on what I need to do when I go to cut the actual faux leather material. So the size that I cut the pattern for this is a smidge big here. I definitely can make it a little bit smaller, but the piece that I added to make the neck go up instead of do the sweetheart shape should work. I think that looks good. I don't know if you can see it, but there is so much extra fabric on the back, even accounting for the extra that I'll need to put in a zipper. So I can definitely reduce that. But overall, I like the shape of the bodice. I think I'm gonna just stick with this because it's more familiar. It's shapes that I'm more familiar with sewing, rather than having the shape that kind of came up and down to the side. It just kind of comes straight up instead. And then for the skirt as well, I think I can make the pieces a little bit smaller. This seems like it should be fine. This is a pattern that I've used multiple times, and I'm pretty familiar with how the pieces work by now. So I'm not sure if I want to break this up into those segmented panels like in the original dress, or if I just want to stitch a line down the front and create the illusion that there's a seam. I don't know. You know, I'm gonna start with the bodice and see how I feel about it, because if the material is really, really difficult, then having less pieces would probably be ideal. Before I start just sending this through my machine though, all willy-nilly, I am gonna change out the thread and the needle. So I got these leather needles a couple months ago, and then I also got this thicker thread that I forget what it said it was meant for, because it doesn't say on the packaging here, but I believe it's for leather and heavy duty materials. For some reason, even though I've been sewing for over 10 years, it took me until this year to actually start playing around with the correct needles for different materials. Who knew? Not me. Using the bodice as a guide, I marked out the panels for the skirt on my garbage bag pieces and cut those apart to use as my pattern. I had to remember to add seam allowance back in when tracing these onto my fabric. So the garbage bags came in handy after all. All the pieces are cut out here and labeled, so now it's time to just put it together. Easier said than done. With the top 2 tiers attached, I added the zipper, which was salvaged from my old faux leather jacket. Yes, the same leather jacket I used to make my Plague Doctor mask last year. So this is where we're at. The top 2 layers or tiers of the dress are coming together. The zipper actually turned out pretty good. Never mind, you can't see it. This fabric is so cumbersome though, like oh my gosh, it's just so bulky and so much of it. And then actually I need to adjust this part of the bodice. So when I had the bodice separate from the skirt, I was able to pull it tight around the back so that this was laying flat against my chest. But now after lining up all the panels, which have lined up pretty well, I'm pretty happy with that. There's just like so much extra space here. So I don't know if I just need to take it in at the top like that, but then there's just like so much. So I might actually pick apart the seam just to like there and then kind of redo it so that it's flatter, because I don't care if this makes me look flat. I am flat. And then I have the bottom tier finished, but I'm not going to attach that until I have everything with the top 2 fixed and where I want them. But that can wait for tomorrow. I'm sleepy. And let's see, the next thing that I need to work on is this. I still need to do some fit adjustments to the dress, but I want to start playing around with this and try to reshape it so it can actually cup around my neck, and then also test out how we can work out wrapping the leather around this. So I've spent the last 2 hours making adjustments to the bodice, and at this point I'm kind of just done. It's better than it was. I really want to move on. I took it in quite a lot, and then I had to hand stitch under the bust because it just wouldn't fit in the machine. So I'm kind of kicking myself for not thinking about this before attaching it, but it is what it is. So I still need to notch the fabric, and then I'm going to figure out how to attach the hand so that I can get the top of the dress all squared away before I attach the bottom, because that's going to make it really heavy and difficult to work with. But first, I think this really needs a lining because it's very uncomfortable inside. Yes, that'll do nicely. So I still have the top 2 portions separated from the very bottom portion of the skirt because I still need to add the hand around the neck. The thing is, I don't know where the tool is that I need to do that. And I could just attach the final part of the skirt, but then it's going to be so heavy to work with once I do find the heat gun that I need to work with the hand. So I'm kind of stuck when it comes to the dress until I'm able to get the hand situation figured out. So I'm waiting for my husband to text me back where that tool is. So for the moment, I think I'm gonna pause on the dress and try to start making some progress with the accessories. So I need to do gloves and her creepy hair clutch. So for the gloves, I got this stretchy faux leather type of fabric. It really doesn't look like faux leather, but it was the closest thing I could find that was also stretchy because, y'all, I am not dealing with making faux leather gloves out of that stiff material. I just wanted something that would be easy to pull on and off. And then for her little creepy clutch, I just have this scrap fabric. It's like a kind of a thick, almost faux leather material as well, but I think I'm just going to take this piece and like fold it into the general shape of a clutch, and then use this wig that I bought at the thrift store. I purchased this wig thinking that I would use it, but it was one of those things where as soon as I got home I was like, why did I buy this? I don't know what I was thinking. First of all, it's super matted and gross. Like, what would I even use this for? This is vaguely emo. Ew. I'm just gonna chop this up and use this for my creepy hair thing, because I think that's perfect. For anyone wondering, yes, this felt as gross as it looks. I don't know why, but it kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. Oh my god! This is probably why I will never be a hairdresser. I did a quick hack job of the gloves, just tracing my hand onto the folded over fabric and leaving a seam allowance, then sewing around that line. This only works because the fabric is so stretchy, which is a lesson I learned the hard way last year. This next part involved some dangerous tools, so please be careful if you plan on doing something similar yourself. I used a heat gun on a low setting to soften the plastic, making it easier to cut with my craft blade. I then hot glued the pieces into the position I wanted them. So doing some kind of shrink wrapping type of situation with the faux leather is not gonna happen. It burnt and bubbled before it came anywhere close to shrinking around the test item. Reshaping the hand went reasonably well though, so I think what I'm gonna have to do is hand stitch. I was trying to avoid that so much. Or I could use glue. I don't like using hot glue on my projects because it just doesn't look as clean. Obviously I did for this, but this is going to be inside the fabric. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have to figure out some other way to cover this with the fabric and then pull it tight so that it looks bony. This is kicking my butt. I'm so tired. So it's looking pretty decent from the front. Kind of looks like an eye. Have you ever seen those creepy little rainforest critters? They have the freakiest hands. But then you turn it around and this is why I have complicated feelings on hot glue. And after cooling down, the leather was separating from itself where I had hot glued it. So then I tried fabric glue, and that's why there's just this weird amalgamation of dried white glues, and it looks questionable. So yeah, that's gross. Let's just pretend it's fine. It's fine. There's nothing behind the curtain. Don't look behind the curtain. I also added tiny Velcro patches and a clear strap that will go around my neck to help support the weight of the hand. I then got to work attaching the hand to the rest of the dress. So I'm almost done. I have the hand attached and I finished the top of the dress. I need to hand stitch the parts where it connects. That was not gonna fit in my sewing machine and I didn't even want to try. So I still need to attach the bottom of the dress, but otherwise it is done and I will see you when it's finished. What was that creepy smile?
I actually did it myself. Yes.
She's done. Goblin mode has been achieved. I'm pretty happy with this. There's still some fit issues I'm running into, mainly here, and there's like too much fabric here still, so it keeps falling down. But overall, the look is there. If I were to do this again, I would pick a different faux leather, but I think I should have gone with something that was either thinner or just more supple because this is very stiff. This is definitely upholstery fabric. I kind of feel like a lazy boy chair, and it's very heavy. This worked okay, but it feels like a chair. And I'm pretty pleased with like the creepiness of the hand. I think the skeleton underneath worked out, so it looks a little bit different, but overall, I think the hand looks really good. I am frustrated, however, with how it looks on the underneath. It's gross. Oh, and last night, after I said I was done, I changed my mind and redid this part here. So there's definitely some changes I would make if I did this again, but I'm not going to do this again because the vision has been realized and it's good enough. I am satisfied enough with it, and I'm glad I actually decided to cut the fabric up into the individual panels rather than just stitching the lines or just doing big blocks of fabric, because that is a distinct characteristic of the original dress. But I'm also glad I went with my own paneling in a way. Like, I didn't copy the panels exactly, mostly because of lack of skill and expertise, but it makes it a little bit more of my own and more of an homage and not an exact copy. But I do think the panels look really cool, and the zipper turned out pretty good, I have to say. I need to tighten this here for sure, but otherwise I think I could wear this. I have so much makeup on right now. I feel like a clown. But this was a lot of fun, and I'm glad to finally see the idea realized because I had originally planned to make this over the summer. Honestly, it's kind of fine that it took me till October to get around to it because it is thematically more appropriate. So thank you for watching. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and subscribe. Bye. What do I want to say? I swear, it's like every time I think to film, that's also when someone is like, now would be a great time to mow the lawn or leaf blow.